Not really much news going on this week, but we do have some reports that have kind of been surfacing over the past couple of days, and they do have some ramifications. So we're going to put a tweet on the screen from NBA Central saying the Golden State Warriors want to maintain cap flexibility for the summer of 2027, when Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic could potentially become free agents, per Sam Amick. And he's pretty credible with his reporting and stuff.
Yeah.
And he said they want to maintain maximum flexibility for that 2027 summer as it stands. They only have Moody's $13.4 million and Buddy Hield's $10 million player options on the books for that year alone. So the thing just refreshed on me. My fault. Okay, it's back. So it says the Warriors, who are well aware that Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo and Denver's Nikola Jokic both have player options for the 27-28 season, are hardly alone on this star hunting front. High-profile teams like the Lakers and Clippers have sent similar signals in recent months. There was a tweet by Legion Hoops that came out on September 16th, so yesterday at the time we're recording this on Wednesday, and it says, the Clippers have sent signals that they're also maintaining cap flexibility to target Giannis and or Jokic in 2027, per again Sam Amick.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another tweet that we'll get to a little bit on later in the segment, but I guess just for some context here, so viewers that aren't caught up with this sort of story know, Nikola Jokic decided not to extend with the Denver Nuggets this season.
Wow.
But, I mean, it's kind of obvious that he's going to extend next summer because he can get even more money.
Okay.
We're talking like almost $400 million.
Yeah.
So, how do you not say no to that? And we don't know what the situation's like in Milwaukee with Giannis. This team has completely morphed into a shell of its former self. Giannis can easily either request out or he could just straight up walk and not, accept the player option or whatever that may be. Mm-hmm. So let's go to you first, Antoine, because you're a little bit more keyed in onto this situation. What are your thoughts on this sort of mindset and mentality from the Warriors and the Clippers?
Well, the tweet's interesting because that explains the Warriors' lack of movement this offseason. If I were them, I would not bank on Jokic because I feel like Jokic is staying regardless. Giannis, we've been talking about it for like the past year.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. But again, you're banking on a lot of what ifs, and I'm sure Giannis would move there. But again, you need to have a whole roster in place for Giannis because, like you just said, everyone's off the books but Moody and Hield's player options. So you're looking at Butler, Curry, Draymond could all potentially be retiring or finishing off their careers by then.
By when?
By then, 2027.
2027.
Yeah, 2027. So yeah, they could be or they could come back. Who knows?
I don't think Curry will retire by then.
No, I don't. I think, like I said, Curry's the only one out of the three of the old stars that I think he will play longer.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, their roster right now this year is looking very thin. If they get any injuries, it's going to be looking like a rebuilding year and tanking year for them regardless because that bench is so lackluster. The Clippers is interesting because the report came out today, again, related to Kawhi. I'm not going to get into detail with that. But a synopsis of it is that they're done building around Kawhi Leonard. That's it. It's over. So this is what they have right now in motion. CP's retirement year coming up, I guess. Bradley Beal, that 2-year deal, whatever. PG Kawhi, once that runs out, which is, I guess, in that same year, that's it. It's a brand new slate.
Well, they just extended Kawhi.
To what year is that?
I think it's like to 2029. I think they're like locked.
So then why?
Wow.
So
Wow.
They're gonna have to. Well, either they're gonna trade him, or the NBA hands down a contract termination if this stuff is true.
Oh yes.
Are there any updates on the whole Kawhi situation?
No, they're still
Not really.
investigating.
They're still investigating. There's still other stuff.
Because more stuff came out today that Kawhi was asking for prior to signing with the Clippers that was against the CBA rules.
Mm-hmm.
So they're investigating that too as well. So Kawhi, makes a lot of sense as to what Tyler was saying, the contract termination, then he'll be gone in 2 years or so.
Steve Ballmer also invested another $10 million into aspiration that year afterwards.
Okay.
And yeah, people in the Clippers, front office and Clippers brass are starting to want to move on from this mess. Yeah, because I think it's a lot worse than everyone thinks. It's bad. It looks bad enough. But I think this is going to be one of the major NBA scandals, I think. But again, allegedly, don't sue me.
Yeah, we don't know.
Allegedly.
Alleged.
Yeah.
So, but
back to the Warriors. Again, I didn't even mention the whole Kuminga thing. Like, they're still trying to figure that out. Sacramento wants him. Golden State offered him apparently a deal this past week, which is like $25 million a year. Didn't take that. Hopefully it's settled by the season starts. Kuminga is a nice addition for them, of course, regardless. If he does come back or if he does leave, they better get something in return, obviously. But like Tyler said, I'm questioning their motives going into this season. What's going to go on? Like you said, they're an injury or two away from looking like a tanking team. So maybe that's what they want because they want to get that nice pick next year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I don't think they don't have picks. Remember, they traded all of them to get Jimmy.
Yeah, that's a
Okay,
shame.
fair.
So we don't
Yeah.
know exactly the
a
situation
shame.
they're in.
I don't know
Yeah.
why they did that, to be honest.
That's the thing. But what are your thoughts on this whole situation, Gio?
My thoughts are, I feel like the Warriors are going away from their identity.
Move the mic a little bit closer to you.
I feel like they're moving away from their identity because I feel like they've been a dynasty because they kind of like were homegrown stars. They'll draft well. You know, Draymond, Curry, Clay, those guys are all drafted. Even Harrison Barnes, when he was there, drafted.
Yeah.
And then you add on a piece like Iguodala, right? And then, of course, Kevin Durant. That's huge.
That
I
does
understand.
help.
That helps.
That was the dynasty edition.
That was. But they were already pretty much a dynasty before Kevin Durant, if you ask me.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Understandable.
So I feel like they're leaving their identity, going after these big stars who are in the later part of their primes, if you ask me.
Right.
So I feel like they should hold on to draft picks. Unfortunately, they gave away too much for Jimmy Butler, but they should hold on to those draft picks, try to draft well, and then rebuild the next generation of Warriors superstars. That's what I think.
Okay, so they actually do have they just didn't have this year's pick. Okay, that's my apologies.
Okay.
They got rid of 2025's pick, and I think they got rid of a couple other picks. So they do have their own for the next 4 years. I don't know. I must have confused them with a different team's trade, but they do have their own pick. So, like I said, they can tank, but at the end of the day, I understand how good some of these guys are, but you have Steph Curry on the team. You're trying to contend for a championship. These rookies are not gonna help with that. You need to actually utilize if you're trying to go all in to win with Steph and with Jimmy, you need to trade those picks to get other players. Like we talked about before. Last summer they had a golden opportunity to get Lauri Markkanen. They were willing to give up 3 first-round picks, but for some reason they refused to include Brandon Pajemski. And I just still cannot understand why. Because you have one of the greatest players to ever play the game on your team, and you're not going to trade for a guy that can make your team better because you found a steal midway through the first round. It just doesn't really make sense to me. And I think they really dropped the ball there. And I feel like Jimmy Butler was a panic move.
Yeah.
Because that was what they should have traded for Lauri Markkanen. And it just didn't really work out. And so much so we're going to put another tweet on the screen from NBA Central. This came out a couple hours ago saying Jimmy Butler has reached out to the Warriors front office to try and understand exactly what their plan is. In that ESPN article, they mentioned that Draymond and Jimmy have checked in and reached out to Jonathan Kuminga. I can confidently say that Jimmy Butler has also reached out to the team and been like, what's going on here? I just want to know the plan. Because I feel like that's the main problem, too. We've talked about the 2 timelines nonsense, trying to balance the youth with the vets and trying to win championships and get Steph a 5th ring and all that stuff. But you have a situation now where you have Jonathan Kuminga, who still hasn't been paid yet, and it's looking very likely he's not coming back. And I'm pretty sure they will sign Horford if Kuminga walks. But what is their plan? No matter what happens, what do they want to do? Yeah. Because everyone has seemed to have committed to this team except for Kuminga, and there just doesn't seem to be a direction. It seems like something the Nets were in a couple of years ago, which seems very odd. But
yeah, I feel like the Kuminga stuff has gotten to a point where it's him coming back. There's just so much turmoil. I think you're better off just letting him go, sign and trade, just to get that off your hands. Which is sad because he's such a good player with so much talent, and he'll probably showcase it somewhere else, which is of course Sacramento probably, and that's Golden State's problem to be for years to come. Now Jimmy's in another situation again like Miami where he may want out because it's tougher now, but it's looking like we don't know what's going on. why are no signings being made? We're waiting on Horford, like you said as well. Horford was like linked to that opening free agency night where we were talking about that because they need a center. Because Quentin Post is not really a starting caliber center. Neither is TJD as well. So I don't know. It's a waiting game possibly. I mean, they have to have some guys coming into training camp that makes up their bench, obviously, whether it's rookies or like vets, whoever it is. We'll see when the time comes, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the not having the depth for an injury like Steph's getting older, Draymond's getting older. All these guys are getting older. They're not young, and you're gonna put out these rookies or bench guys like Pods. You're looking to tank, and you're just back to square one again. So it's a very just up in the air situation. Pod's not getting traded is funny now to this day, just because he's given no value to them. I feel like.
I mean, he's been fine.
Besides the first season.
This past season, he was decent.
He got off to a rough start, but I think he bounced back well enough. You know, like I said, it really doesn't matter what Pods gives you. I just feel like if you have an all-star, most improved player to put alongside Steph and Draymond and that whole crew, I would do it. It's just you have to make that sacrifice, and they didn't. And the Warriors just kind of have to do what they can now. But let me ask you this question, Gio. How will this situation in 2 years end for the Warriors? What's your vision of how you see this playing out? Will they accomplish anything? Will players move on? Will Steph retire? Will they change teams? Like anything. What's your gut saying?
Well, as a Warriors hater,
As a Warriors fan,
my gut is saying it's not going to work out.
that's what your heart is saying. What's your gut saying?
No, that's my gut saying. I don't think
Okay.
it's going to work. I don't think they're going to win any sort of championship. I don't think they'll even be competing for a championship for the next. I mean, as long as Curry's still on this team,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like huge moves have to happen in order for them to do that, and I guess that's why they want to go out and get Jokic potentially, and then Giannis potentially.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I don't think that's going to happen, and so therefore my gut is telling me this team is just going to be in that mid to decent tier of basketball teams, and that's a tough spot to be in.
Exactly, yeah. And that is the worst spot anyone can be in because, you know, it's not like you're, like, as bad as the Utah Jazz are, right? Like, we know this team has no future as far as, like, short-term doing anything. But they're young. They have a young coach.
Right.
They're well-equipped for the future.
Right.
You can easily go 20 and 62 without any ramifications, and you can get a top 5 pick, top 6 pick, and you'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
But you look at the Bulls, you look at the Kings, you look at the Warriors now, where you go 30 and 52. Yeah, you can get a young piece, but you have Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler on your team now. Your team is run by essentially 3 guys over the age of 35, and you can't do that. Like there's ramifications with the Warriors, and I think this team's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, I think, that the teams that we talked about with the young guys, there's trajectory, and there's a long-term plan for those guys and where they're going. The teams we just mentioned, the Bulls, the Kings, the Warriors now, too, just mid-team, middle barrel. We don't know what's the trajectory or the direction. So, again, just all those teams have, like, star-caliber players playing together, but, again, not getting over the hump and just lackluster players around them. Whether it's no depth or just none of any like promising guys around them as well. So it's just a bit, what's the correct term? It's just a whole just web of mid teams. That's it. We have no idea where they're going to be in a few years.
It's like a cesspool of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Except the Warriors can't be mediocre because you're wasting Steph Curry's career towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, after winning that championship in 2022, this team genuinely could have won more. And then Draymond punches Poole. Poole is a shell of his former self. The team wasn't good. They struggled a lot. They did well in the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
They knocked off the Kings, and then they got injured. The Lakers were just too much for them, and then You trade Poole, you bring in Chris Paul, and it wasn't the right situation for him. Things just kind of shit hit the fan. That's really what it is.
Dude, isn't it crazy how one punch changed so many things?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah.
one punch changed so many things. Poole's not the same player.
No.
It changed his career.
Yeah.
It changed the destiny of the Warriors as well. It's like, that's crazy.
Yeah. It was the most franchise altering punch since the Malice at the Palace.
Life lesson: be careful what you do, because the ripples, the impacts it has on anything else down the line is pretty significant. So,
Yeah, I mean, Poole didn't deserve that. He had one of the best years of his career there. Got that contract.
got a punch for it.
Yeah, he literally ate one to the face for $100 million.
Yeah, but listen, we can't go back in time anymore. So it happened. You just have to acknowledge it did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Poole had to move on, unfortunately. And then now the Warriors are getting, I guess, a brunt end of it a little bit.
Get rid of Draymond and they'll solve your problems.
I mean,
That's what
listen,
they should have done, but at the end of the day, Draymond's just as important a player.
Draymond's a legend
Yeah, that's
for that team.
that was the sticky situation, because Draymond obviously is close with both Steph and Clay at the time, because he was still there. Clay struggling also did not help, but
Yeah.
he did go through two massive injuries
Exactly.
back to back. But Poole getting punched, the way they handled the contract stuff was very uneasy on guys like Kuminga too. Kuminga was very close with Jordan Poole, and then Andrew Wiggins, same thing, and obviously the stuff with his father. We send our well wishes to their family.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. But at the end of the day,
Man.
the NBA is a business, and the Warriors have made their decisions. Let's just hope they don't look back at those decisions, because you just can't do that in life.